So I just finished Spies of Mississippi, and it's a documentary about Mississippi during the 50s, 60s era civil rights, the beginning of the civil rights movement. And there was this thing called the Sovereignty Commission that formed to, it was when, in the 50s, it was still very segregationist. And this commission just came, its blatant purpose was to keep segregation. They were afraid that integration was going to somehow destroy the white race. And then the NAACP formed, which is the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. And that was actually a multiracial coalition. There were meetings. And then the Sovereignty Commission that was sponsored, funded by the state of Mississippi, sent people out to spy on these. At first it was white people, and then they started getting black people to spy on them. They would write down their tags. Then they would they would filter that information to the newspaper, essentially like old school doxing these people. So they would start scaring people off from going to any of the meetings. And then it got worse, and then just like all this spy. So it's like, what I'm realizing is that the most mind-blowing thing that I'm seeing is that the civil rights movement, every step of the way in every state was somehow, if it wasn't the fucking state of Mississippi, then it was the FBI, like the Black Panthers. Like there was always government interference trying to destroy any sort of integration and unity. And also the other surprising thing is, so you have these, there was this thing called the Freedom Summer, is where all of these volunteers and activists traveled down to Mississippi and tried to start a campaign to get people to vote, people of color. And there were these guys, Mickey Schwerner and James Earl Chaney and Andy Goodsman. And Mickey Schwerner and Andy Goodsman, they were both white guys from New York, and they went down there. And the Sovereignty Commission was spying on them, and they fed information. And at the same time, the KKK was infiltrating the police force, big surprise. Look at where we are today, racist police force. This is where it starts. They fed information to the KKK, and then those guys ended up dead. And then it comes out that the Sovereignty Commission was actually involved in their murder, and then also the Medgar Evans, the leader of the NAACP in Mississippi, was also was assassinated by this guy named Beckwith. And the jury, like the Sovereignty Commission, worked with the state, and they got him acquitted. And then some independent reporter, like years down the line, found got some files that were leaked about the Sovereignty Commission, and they reopened the case, and they actually convicted the guy in his 70s or something. But this is what's mind-blowing, is that the more I learn about the civil rights movement, is that it's always been, see, I always thought that it was like, like black people were fighting for their rights, and then all the white people never gave a shit. But that's so not true. Every time that there was an integration of like black and white coming together to like actually progress for black people, the fucking state and the governments shut that shit down, like in blatant, like to the point of killing people. This is like, it's insanity. And like, we don't know, like, I didn't know this because I didn't know black history. But the more I learn, it's like, just in the 3 days that I've been doing this, I've learned so much. And it's just, everything makes sense now. Like, this is how we got to where we are now. It's because, like, everything was built on this foundation of this, like, racist fucking bullshit. There's institutionalized racism. Sorry, I'm heated, but, like, this is why, please join me in starting the hashtag Learn Black History movement. And I'm coupling that with the hashtag I'm Listening movement, where you just listen to people of color and listen to their stories, listen to the very real struggle and the very real issues they face of racism, both systemic and individual. So please just try to get people to learn as much black history as you can. The documentaries are out there. Like, if you don't want to read, watch documentaries. Like, it's all this information is there, and if we don't learn it, we're going to keep repeating this cycle over and over and over again. And guys, it is time that we truly fight for a world that is actually truly equal for every single person. Because yeah, all lives do matter, but right now we got to fix this issue. And we need to focus on how black lives matter, because historically they have been treated as if they don't.